Hi guys, Ashley here. Today we have an exciting announcement. I am here with Ron Wardle and we are launching our new book called
Innovation Factory.
And what is this book about?
Well, the book is about what we can learn from China's digital success that Western brands can actually adopt and use in their own market.
Use in their own market. So learning from each other. This is the centerpiece of the book. And we are essentially covering three major topics. One is the ecosystems. Number two is direct-to-consumer brand learning and successes, right? And number three, the China's leadership styles. So the first question is why us and why now? So Ron, tell us a little bit about yourself. Ron has phenomenal experience in the market in China, working with TP, working with brands. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so I've been in China in the digital space since 2005. So it's been quite a few years. So a lot of experience in that space. Not only ran digital agency, but also ran what we call the Taobao partner, or TP agency, starting in 2010 before Taobao was actually doing a lot of e-commerce, and that's pre-Tmall as well too. So we were doing a lot of work on Taobao before Tmall came into existence, and then later on Tmall Global came in, all this stuff. So we've seen the whole rise of China e-commerce. We've been heavily involved in it, helping Western brands succeed or try to succeed in China. There's a lot of war stories about brands coming in and how they've adopted and not adopted themselves, and how to play well in the China market. So that's been kind of my existence for the last probably 12, 15 years on the China side. So.
Absolutely. So the whole direct-to-consumer piece and understanding how social commerce works, how e-commerce works, how the future of retail is being shaped up very often in China, and what can we actually adopt in the rest of the world. This is Ron's expertise. When it comes to myself, you might have known already.
The queen of China marketing here.
Ecosystems. I do love Chinese tech ecosystems because ultimately the whole journey from understanding your consumer better, analyzing the data, applying that in the marketing journey, the whole consumer journey, from interest to marketing to building a community and CRM to making sales, repeat sales. This is what I'm fascinated with, and I love how China is truly digitalizing each and every touch point through very often ecosystems such as Alibaba, Meituan Dianping, ByteDance, and many others. So that is a piece that I'm very interested in, of course. And leadership styles as well. How many exciting new brands, products came out of China in the past, let's say 5-7 years.
It's been phenomenal how fast they've adopted, and not only that, they've rose from basically the ashes, right? And you're 100% correct. Through the different leadership styles they have, management styles, how they go about the localizing their own brands for the local market, and how to connect with the local consumers as well too, which is one of the key things.
Absolutely. So there are new consumption brands, the ones that basically pop up right now, but there's also older brands such as Huawei, for instance, such as Haier, right, and many others that actually know that they are an older, bigger giant, and they need to adapt or die, and they learn to adapt. And the China market, we all know, is very fast. The consumers are very demanding. They're extremely spoiled. The manufacturing is rather cheap, so there's expectations on the price, right? And many things coming together. So you need to learn to run your big enterprise, for example, like Haier, at a different speed and in a very different format. So your senior management doesn't necessarily have Western style strategy for 5 years, but they run as entrepreneurs, right? What they call micro enterprises. And there's many other management styles that make Chinese businesses very successful domestically, and some of these models can also be learned and applied in places like Southeast Asia, Latin America, and many other parts of the world. So this is what book focuses on. Once again, it's ecosystems, direct-to-consumer brands learning, or social commerce, or the future of retail, and number three, of course, the leadership styles. So let's dig a little bit deeper.
Let's jump right into it.
Yes.
Why? Go ahead.
Yeah. So why are we actually talking about these three things? What do you think are the known knowns right now? So for example, ecosystem. What do people know about the ecosystems in China right now? And what are some of the unknowns?
Yeah, I think some of the knowns for the ecosystem itself that you see big headlines, obviously there's a few big major players like ByteDance, and they have their own ecosystem. Alibaba's scaled everywhere, right? From not only food apps to e-commerce to entertainment, to, kind of like cloud services they have as well too. JD.com is another one in that. You have just a plethora of really large enterprises that have scaled their ecosystems to keep consumers at bay in a sense, right? They pull everybody in. They're really trying to get that consumer touch point and not leave their ecosystem. Where in the West, everyone's just really siloed for everything. Now Amazon's trying to do that as well too with their Prime. They have all these different things, adding sports and entertainment, but it hasn't like shifted the migration of consumer habits because of all the other channels and basically entertainment platforms they have to watch from. So
people don't get why. Why shall I be, doing entertainment or working out or buying groceries from Amazon, right?
Right.
People still very often don't have that mental link. But in China, a lot of ecosystems are built on trust. I trust your ecosystem. I trust that if I am unhappy, if my money is stuck, if the product is bad, that you're going to protect me, you're going to pre-select the providers, the products, you're going to make sure, again, my
Exactly.
payment, money, whatever, returns are all smooth and easy, and I have this one unified ID, I have this one super app that actually allows me to manage a lot of these things all together, right?
yeah, so I don't have to have all the, I don't have to have my DoorDash, I don't have my Uber Eats, I don't have to have my Amazon, I don't have to have my favorite D2C brand, 17 different logins I have to do for this, right? It's all encompassed in one. So for a consumer standpoint, it makes it really smooth and easy for folks, right? Consumers to get in there. Once they're inside their ecosystem, they can basically take care of everything in their daily life, whether it's paying bills, buying groceries, grabbing taxis, eating, shopping, watching movies together. It's all encompassed in one. So.
And of course, not to say that people pick an ecosystem and then they join it and they stay there. No, everybody uses, if somebody's using basically one map, then they're using also the other map. If they're using Alipay, they are also using WeChat Pay, right? So, but China is such a big market, there's so many different niche consumers that there are definitely favorite platforms for a specific region, for a specific consumer group, for a specific purpose as well, right? So if you're buying something more expensive, you're probably going to go and pay with your Alipay. If you are doing daily transactions and paying for your whatever cab and whatever hailing coffee service or a Q4Me service, you are just going to do it with your WeChat because it's on the go. So there are those preferences, and a lot of China's ecosystems are actually tapping into each other's categories, right? If you used to do food delivery right now, I also want to join the club, right? So how do we take some of these learnings from China and their experience, their failures and successes, and actually move it outside of China?
Right. I think, we talk about the speed of China as well too, right? And that's one thing Western brands really need to learn as well too. Because China's, the rate and speed they actually go to try to adopt and train, try to launch new products or services, stuff like that. We call China's basically perpetual beta. It's always on, right? Stuff's going on, this and that, and trying to really try to disrupt their different industries and stuff, right? In the West, it's still pretty much cookie cutter, very siloed for people are doing. There's a few companies here and there trying to break the mold, and once they kind of get through there, they actually do pretty decent job as well too. So what Western brands can learn from is basically the China hustle, right? Take care of consumers, make sure things it's a trust factor as well too, right? Make sure they get the products delivered very quickly, make sure your merchandising is done properly, make sure you do that human connectivity with the consumers. I think is one of the key things that Western brands can learn.
And also building those ecosystems, right? Very often in the West, the companies approach it either through mergers and acquisitions, and let me see what works. In China, there are many models. You can do it like Tencent, where you're basically racing horses. You purchase a few companies in a specific sector you're interested in, you let them race. Whoever wins is going to be a part of your ecosystem. Who doesn't, you basically shoot the horse that doesn't perform.
Just send them out to pasture.
Yes. Or you can do it a little bit more like Baba when they typically, right now Baba is going through a lot of changes in management and in the way it's operating, but traditionally it would purchase companies, invest, kind of plug them inside the ecosystem right away, and give them the branding, either part of Alibaba Zoo, right? Give them the little cute
mascot,
right. Yeah, or directly like change the colors and basically plug them in. Sometimes both versions backfire, or you can be somebody like ByteDance that sometimes does this, sometimes does this. So it's a mindset. Very often it is mindset. And also understanding, probably in the West, fewer companies understand that right now you cannot be outside of an ecosystem. Like even if you're a small business, you need to stand on many legs. You need to have businesses that are subscription business, that are product business, that are service business, all at once. And you need to cooperate with partners internally, externally. You need to have, you need to be on, I don't know, Amazon, Meta, Marketplace, whatever else. So you are either building your own little ecosystem within your space, or you are part of a broader ecosystem. And ultimately, the mindset for partnerships and doing business also needs to be a lot more agile and client-focused and just fast.
Absolutely, yeah, and I 100% agree with that, right? So the brands, especially when they go D2C, getting in these either ecosystems and building their ecosystems, basically like a hub and spoke model, right? So all the spokes would be everything from logistics to social media to consumer connectivity, the CRM systems they have to bring into their own D2C type of operation. These are really good. That whole hub and spoke model has to work, and they have to build that ecosystem. And it's not relying on the previous model, which still a lot of people do, is like, here's my channel, here's my retailer, I let them take care of the consumers. Now you have to talk directly to consumers, and it's got to be a combination of not only retail, direct to consumer, right? But you need to also have that channel management as well too, and how to reach out and connect. Doesn't matter if they go to an Albertsons or a Macy's to buy stuff, one of your products or whatever retailer it is. You still need to have that human connectivity with your consumer and talk to them directly. So there's a bunch of different ways that brands can actually connect with that, even working through retailers, but at the same time use your D2C and actually build that capabilities there.
And we are moving already to the second part, the second question, right? Beyond ecosystems, we have D2C brands. So you've mentioned it just now that there is this ultimately conversational commerce, right?
Yeah.
Direct-to-consumer brands in China today are in constant conversation with the customers.
Yes.
And somebody calls it social commerce, social plus, D2C. Somebody just calls it live streaming, or chatbot service, or CRM, or you talk about community group buying, etc. But ultimately, it is all the same idea. It's conversational commerce, and it is about making your customer more than just a customer, but making them your R&D department when you co-create a product together. Making them your marketing team where they help promote on your behalf, create content on your behalf. Making them your sales team where they can also sell on your behalf and be rewarded one way or the other, and the person who bought through them is also being rewarded. So you basically reallocate your marketing budgets in a different way, and much more. So basically turning a consumer into something more than a consumer through a constant conversation. So let's talk about probably the most well-known side to this D2C phenomena, which is live streaming, right? So live streaming is extremely popular in China. It's growing quite fast in the past, especially 4 years.
Right.
Some people say that it's becoming a little bit less, kind of shiny. People are tired. And of course, the growth is not limitless. People only have 24 hours a day. So what's your take on the live streaming and the growth of live streaming in China? And is the West jumping on that bandwagon? Is it too late? Is it too early? How is the West doing?
Yeah, so again, big headlines for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years with China live stream e-commerce, huge numbers, people. There's a few concentrated platforms that really have high numbers. There's a few, from Austin Lee's to, some other people we won't mention just because we just won't mention them. But huge sales volume through there as well too, right? And that's comes from, number one, trust in the platforms, and also a huge concentration of traffic into one ecosystem, right? So, and live streaming is just another form of connectivity. So as Ashley mentioned with the conversational commerce, right? That's what every brand needs to aspire to be doing that, right? More and more. You think you're doing it, but you're only you're just chipping away at the very, very, edge of the consumer commerce type of conversation, right? So more brands need to be in the conversation with brands. Live streaming is huge, but the way live streaming works in China versus the West, I know everyone talks about, it's not a cookie cutter, copy and paste, right? The way, obviously we won't get into all the details how the China live stream works, but how does the West use some of their models as well too, right? And I think there's 3 fundamentals and 3 things that all brands have to do when they get into this live stream. And I wouldn't really want to call it live stream, it's called video commerce, is really what it is. Because there's live and there's replay and there's chopped up videos and there's a bunch of different ways to do this. So the way we always look at it, and for myself, just for your background, when they first started doing the Austin Lee, Lipstick King, then Alibaba first came out with that, all the brands we represented, we started doing live stream as well too. And what we learned is not just the live stream part of it. We have 3 things we always do. We work on customer acquisition live stream, we work through customer retention live stream, and customer education live stream. And that's how you break down your live stream strategy. And the West can do that exactly the same, and how they do it about that, right? So the video commerce on the US side of things, live stream, most brands will never have enough traffic to really pop any numbers they need. So all the data I've seen, and a lot of companies that I work with on the Western markets, that's majority of all the sales volume comes from the replay of these, where in China you really don't have that replay part of it, and also the cut downs. So if you have an hour-long live stream, 10 products, you do the cut down on 10 different products, and that will go out not only on your own D2C, but you can push that out on all the social media as well too. And so everything's shoppable video. So you have a shoppable live stream, shoppable replay, shoppable short video, right? Those all come into effect when you're actually trying to do this. And the brands actually really have to be forward-leaning to do this. They think, I just did a live stream, it didn't work. Of course, number one, consumers are not used to this for them. You don't have enough traffic, doesn't matter what brand you are. You're not gonna have, if I'm an Austin Lee and go in there and I have 70 million people, and it's no joke, it could be 100 million people that are watching this. So the sales volume is here. Most brands maybe have, 1,000 if they're lucky at any one time on their website. Even though you do good promotions, and very few people will buy it because they want to consider it. So maybe it's the first time they've seen this. Hey, how does this actually work, right? But when they get into replay and their friends share it as well too, that's where the real volume comes from. So all the data I've seen from the Western market right now, between 10 and 15% of the volume comes in the actual live stream, and 85% of the volume comes to replay. So, and you just chop that up and cut it down as well too.
Well, the habits are also very different. Right now, actually, ByteDance's TikTok, right, is trying to break into, let's say, the US market. They also worked quite a bit with the UK market, and majority of the DPs, doing partners, and majority of the brands working on the platform are actually being heavily subsidized. Because there needs to be this habit first. Because it is expensive to start something new. And don't forget, right, when China started live streaming, it was a failure for many years. People forget that it wasn't day one and live streaming just shot up. There were 3 or 4 years where live streaming was available as a feature, but nobody would actually really shop or watch it. And then what happened is consumers were ready. There were all these boards with these very professional anchors that could entertain, educate, and sell. And this is the holy trinity, right, for live streaming. You need to do all 3. If you're just entertaining, or you're just educational, or you just sell, long term it's not going to work. So it started all with Via, right, when she was able to really do all 3 very, very well. And over time, people got used to it, etc. So that's how live streaming in China evolved. In the West, also, it will take some time. And not just the West, the rest of the world.
Yeah, absolutely, right? And I've seen a lot of, Western brands try to adopt the China model where they try to hire a huge influencer, Instagram influencer, stuff like that, and then it needs and they try to do a live stream. Again, they don't have the saleability what they're doing. They may bring some followers and stuff on their website and bring some people over, but the number of actual transaction is really, you'd be really surprised how low it is, because their actually fan base is not their really consumers. So they know it's not their product. They're repping some other brand for this, and there's not like deal structure and everything. And the whole ecosystem from logistics to customer service to interaction, customer engagement. This is all part of that live stream or video commerce ecosystem that the West has yet to adopt yet. They're getting closer, it's step by step, and some brands are doing pretty decent, and the ones that are doing the best are actually the ones that are hustling and learning and adapting to the local market time and time again. The bigger brands, are still trying to work through the kinks out, or actually they haven't actually allocated enough time, energy, and resources to make it work properly.
And resources are so important because you need to ultimately either hire an MCN, multi-channel network, the company that actually raises bloggers to some level of prominence, company that actually pre-selects the products, that manages the whole supply chain, right? Return rates are very high with live streaming and all that. Or you either hire one, but outside of China, there's very, very few MCNs that are active. There's blogger guilds, but there's very few kind of China-style MCNs if at all. So then you need to become one. And if you are to become one, you need all that expertise, you need that whole basically focus that very often people just don't want to buy there because live streaming doesn't deliver them bottom line results right away. And not to say, again, we're not here to say that there's no problem with China's live streaming. There's huge problems. There's also inflated followership bases. There are live streaming setups when you sell absolutely nothing, even though 100,000 people are watching. There's all sorts of things, from click farming to the fact that you can actually pay somebody to purchase the whole stock that you are selling out, but then they will return it within 48 hours and you will pay basically for the return, but you can officially report the GMV, right? Everybody is into this GMV game. So if you want your headquarter to be happy and clappy and obviously media to report on it. So there's a lot of shadow stuff going on in China's live streaming as well, like in any industry, but there's also a big portion of it where live streaming is important. And today, nobody can really, in my view, run e-commerce business in China without having a live streaming strategy. You must have it. Either you do it through a partner or you do it in-house where your own staff actually sit there 5-8 hours every single day and they are selling through live streams.
I mean, you got to kind of have a hybrid strategy, right? Again, when you have a customer acquisition, customer retention, and then customer education, those all come from the different live stream strategies just for that portion of that. And again, you're 100% correct. The brands on the Western side, they look at this as just another marketing channel. They want to see the ROI. Hey, if I run my Google ads, if I run this ad stuff, I get my ROI, my ROAS.
My favorite one is when they start comparing to Google ads.
Right? It's like, how do you compare that stuff, right? But what we do know is that once you have customers engaged, the conversion rate, return rates, one goes up, one goes completely down, right? And the repurchase rate goes up a lot as well too, right? And if you're a fashion brand, you can show the model, the size, what they're wearing, what their skin tone is, and same with makeup or cosmetics and stuff. You can get up close, ask questions right from the host that's actually doing this, and it's going to be really, really popular in order for those brands to jump in and do this with the consumers, and it just makes sense.
So education, entertainment, and sales. That's the holy trinity of live streaming. Let's move on and talk about the social commerce in general. How is social commerce, in your view, doing in the West? There are a few platforms from Meta to Pinterest to Amazon to even some of the Chinese players, TikTok, involved in that space. So what's going on?
I mean, I look at it, again, the way social commerce works on the China side is that everything's integrated, from customer service to marketing to logistics, right? Payments, everything's all integrated. So the social commerce in China will work way different than the West, right? So the West, everyone's using, whether Instagram or Pinterest, stuff like that. Most of the time it's a hot link to their DTC website or some landing page, right? And then I have to fill out, my customer information all again.
Your live CV.
Right, it's like I have to go through this whole thing again just to buy one product. It's not integrated. So the social commerce piece, it's great for connectivity, but it's the click-through purchase rate has got to be really, really low for a lot of brands as well too. It's just hard to purchase. There's not an ecosystem put together, and I think a lot of the brands are really trying to push that together. I mean, look at Amazon. It's not social commerce because people aren't doing conversations and stuff on there. They go there to search for a particular product they want to buy. They aren't going there for entertainment purposes, right? Where on socials and they're just not that connectivity again, and the ecosystem again from payments. And number one thing is always logistics, right? The U.S. logistics side of things versus China is like night and day. You buy something, you want to ship something. Number one, it's super expensive. It takes forever to get anywhere. Where China is just the opposite, right? You get it, you buy 1 day, 2 day delivery, pretty much anywhere nationwide, and the cost is very reasonable, if not included with the product prices now. So.
Well, I've just now lost my bag in the US, as I was telling you earlier.
Good luck.
On the flight back here to Asia, and it's been 10 days, ladies and gentlemen. I still don't have my bag back.
And the customer service is
and the customer
great.
service was very exciting. I can tell you that. What about human touch? Because we keep talking about digital, all these platforms, all these tools, but ultimately, as we say, social commerce, the D2C brands, and the future of retail is very much human.
Right.
It is about conversations, right? It's conversational commerce, it's
right.
community commerce,
Yep.
it's all that. So how do we add a human touch into something so non-human?
Non-human, especially when we're used to shopping from your laptop or your phone. Everything's very, very static, right? So that's why you have part of this live stream, I wouldn't call it video commerce, part of this is that you have this like one-to-one type of personal shopping on your own website as well too, right? So you can have, I know there's chat bots and stuff like that, but people really don't like to interact with chat bots. They know it's a chat box, right? But if I can get video commerce and I can actually have a one-to-one conversation with somebody on your website, which now there's a lot of software coming out, it's very inexpensive to do, but you have that kind of video. If they want to talk audio, they can talk audio, they can do video, or one-way, two-way video, you can do that as well too. So you can actually see who you're talking to. It makes a lot of sense as well too. And the brands that are adopting this are actually having such a great success case, but there's very few brands actually adopting it, right? A lot of great brands are adopting this, or trying to adopt this one-to-one type of video commerce sector. And what it does is allow that really tight human connectivity there. And I think that's where, for me, if I can interact with a brand and I have that connectivity, and if I can watch if I have more access to watch some of their leadership from their brands, whether it's CMO, CEO, any of their product development people, their marketing people, and they have their own short videos and stuff, and they actually talk to the consumers, right? That's the thing that's I think is missing as well too. Some brands are actually trying to get outside the box and make themselves a little more public about this. And I think the faster they do this, the easier it is consumers can connect with, because they want to see behind the scenes what's going on, who's making my product, right? How you guys come up with this marketing ideas for me, right? Show me the product, do a breakdown for me, right? What's the formulation look like? Why you guys choose this fragrance? Why you choose this packaging? And just talk to the consumer, right? And I think that's one of the key things that the West can learn. We do very well on China's side because we do a full breakdown for everything all the time.
And also, of course, we need to understand that there are some categories that are particularly successful with this conversation, direct to consumer, ongoing thing. And there are some brands that are less so, right? If you, for example, want to buy Coca-Cola, and this is just that flavor that you don't need a lot of explanation, you probably don't need to speak with the customer service, but if it is very often on body, something that you put on as cosmetics, as fragrance, as clothes or fashion item, a bag, or anything that you put in body in the form of, let's say, vitamins, right, or any kind of substance that's supposed to make you look younger or happy or whatever else, right? So that needs a lot of scientific backing, that needs a lot of education, that needs a lot of professional advice, what looks better, what is trendier, etc. Some exciting new categories are also going in that direction. For example, cars, right? You're choosing a car, it's also, you need expert advice, right? You're buying a new TV, some super cool audio equipment, you need expert advice to be able to educate yourself. Mother and baby category is super big, right? And in China we also had successes of, more peculiar industries, for example, real estate being sold through live streams, right? Yep. When you actually explain to people why this house or this location or this specific setup is great.
Yeah, and there's definitely some Western brands that are trying to adopt a lot of the China models, right? Like GM, we talk about vehicles. Yes. They actually have their digital showroom where you can go on their website and they have a whole section dedicated for this, and they actually they get a one-to-one video with you, and the salesman will take you through the car, every aspect of it, and really train and teach you, just as you're inquiring about, hey, it's a new model coming out, show me, right? And they actually go one-to-one with you and take you through that whole process. Talk about buying a new TV. The big retailer Best Buy. Yes. They have their own live stream center as well too, and they have their one-to-one video chat with their experts in each department, whether it's a washing machine, you're buying a mobile phone, you're buying a TV, right? They actually have their experts, and they're sitting there in their own little live stream centers, going through this and actually walking you through each of the product and showing you exactly how it works. How do you turn this on? And I think the customer service part of this, especially when you get into technology, for older people or people who don't really know how to do stuff, having somebody, I can go on the video and sit there and watch them, and they can take me through, and I can show them from my side, hey, here's my phone, how do I plug this in the back, look for this, you know, HDMI cord, what's an HDMI cord? Let me show you what it looks like. It looks like this is where you plug in, right? Change your input. You have this kind of connectivity, and I think that's where the human connectivity, because once you do that and you're like, oh, these guys are fantastic, I'm going to go back again.
Yes.
Or recommend them to everybody. This is so great experience.
And right now with the retail crisis, around the world, in many parts of the world, I just came back from the US, and I can tell you, the Fifth Avenue is empty. Retail in New York is really suffering. And I was in, it's called Bloomingdale? Or what?
Bloomingdale's.
Bloomingdale's.
Yeah.
Asking for, I don't know, it was a blanket or something. I was asking their advice on basically this bedding cover. And the lady looked at me and she said, I recommend you to do research before you come to the shop. And so this is a real crisis when it comes to expertise. So you come to the shop, offline retail, obviously you are seeking a certain level of expertise that comes with it. But the reality is there's huge turnover for a variety of reasons in different parts of the world. So basically, that expertise is very often not there, and or not available to you in demand. They say, oh, somebody who knows about these two different models is on break right now, so wait for 40 minutes. But imagine when we are actually able to bring expertise live to you, any place, anywhere. And this is absolutely coming. Right now we're doing through videos. Going forward, once we have 6G after 2030, right, and basically about 7 to 10 years from now, we are likely going to have some holographic commerce. So all this is coming.
Right.
Yeah, very exciting. What about the leadership models that are coming out of China?
China. Well, I think you're probably the main expertise on the China leadership models just because of the success they've had so far, right? So
yeah, so I personally always find Haier's 人单合一 a very interesting model, and it's not something new. They've been running it for the past 10 or 13 years, and the transformation, the internal transformation within the company is incredible, because they now have thousands of micro enterprises that basically, like a task force, respond to a consumer pain point. So in other words, today Ron can say, you know what, my strawberries go bad all the time whenever I put it in the fridge, and this is frustrating. Like on day 2, all my strawberries are molded. And what they encourage you to do as any consumer, go on to haier.com or CN or through the app, and ultimately write down your pain points, saying that this, you know, the washing machine is not great, or as you said, strawberries are going bad, and then you will be given a task force to actually solve your problem. So they will be developing essentially a fridge that keeps strawberries fresh for 7 days and up. And the task force is about 10 people. And there are project managers, designers, and then they obviously, when they're ready, they have access to manufacturing facilities and everything else. So not all the ideas or problems are to be solved, but there is a serious consideration for every single one of them. So all requests are being worked on and grouped together. And the products, obviously, that Haier then brings onto the market are also very closely in touch with the need of customers today. And also geographical need of customers. China is a very big country. What's relevant in Urumqi is not relevant in Guangdong or in, let's say, Sichuan or somewhere else in the country, right? So this is the beauty of kind of personalized approach, running these small businesses, and also remaining a big company with resources, because they have resources to actually, again, manufacture it fast, to ship it across the country, and scale it once it is successful. So this case of strawberry, 7-day fresh strawberry, is actually a real case and one of Haier's top selling products. It was a lady, a grandma from one of the smallest cities, who said it's impossible to buy those strawberries in summer or whatever. So they developed this fridge, and it became the whole, big seller across the country. That summer, it was last year. So I think mindset, how Hire's founder actually thinks about it, the mindset, the way that leadership is being implemented, and the way that mid-leadership had to ultimately make a choice. Do I just leave this company, or do I become an entrepreneur at heart?
Right, within the... Yeah.
Do I really have what it takes? And then the whole organization is very clearly focused on serving one God, which is the consumer, right? From top to bottom, you actually get this advice and guidance and cue from the consumer. So that's one. But of course, there's many others. I mean, Xiaomi does fantastic things, and Xiaomi doesn't run as a traditional company with a big vision, right? They say we don't have a strategy. Our strategy is double every year.
Right.
Yeah, and this provides a level of pressure and also a level of flexibility. How do you achieve the target of, let's say, double every year is up to you and your team. We provide resources, but you are accountable for.
You're accountable for your different things.
Because
you look at the number of products they actually bring out to market. Some of them work, some of them don't work, but they're always experimenting, right? They come out and they listen to consumers. I think that's one of the key things. You look at U.S. manufacturing or U.S. brands, stuff like that. A lot of times it's their engineer or product team that's coming up with the thing, but it's only suitable for a small section of consumers and not listening to consumers. And I think that social listening tool from the brands, it's not just a marketing thing. This is a company-wide thing they actually have to do, right? You have to receive feedback, right? Have to then implement that feedback into what the consumers are looking for, right? If you have 17 people asking about my apple's going bad, right? And you have 7,000 people talking about strawberries. Well, you better address the strawberries right away, right? And then work on the apple thing as well too. It may solve,
solvable.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's all about solutions based. You listen to consumers, and I think that's one of the China management styles. They do listen to consumers very heavily. And we talk about the Chinese consumer on the customer service side is actually a bit spoiled in a sense from a Western side. You firsthand experience just dealing with an airline that would never happen, in China's side of things, right? So it's really unbelievable. Every time I'm back in the U.S., the level of customer service you get is actually what I expect is pretty much low for what my expectation. They don't even come close to it. Now sometimes I do, and I clap and reward, and I said, thank you so much for your service. It's been really good. So there's different levels of customer service, but if you're in the service industry, you're in there for a reason, right? You're there to help your consumers solve their problem. No one's coming to you and say, hey, I love this, thank you so much for helping me. No, first thing, they're always coming there for a problem. So your mindset is they're coming for a problem, how do you help them solve a solution, right?
Absolutely. And of course, in China, when it comes to focus on consumer, it is also a necessity. If you don't listen, I mean, there's 100,000 other people that are listening, and you're going to go out of business. Number two, of course, the reality is that in China, you are able to react to those consumer demands very quickly, right? So from zero to market journey can be as short as a few months or a few weeks, as for example, companies such as Shein showed the whole world, not just China. They brought a little bit of the China flair to the rest of the world, where they curate the trends and they create a product, they sell it in small batches to targeted individuals, and they ship it right away. You buy 10 pieces, you don't like 5, you ship them right back. So yes, it is not on the green agenda. Yes, it's probably not a very sustainable business model or sustainable rather business as such, but looking purely on the business side and the customer service and the experience that you're getting as a consumer, it is great for what they are trying to create, right? So in China, of course, the reality is that there is a supply chain, there is manufacturing base, there is this tech foundation that is all available to you. In the West, it's a lot harder to realize, but nonetheless, one way or another, we are all going to arrive at that level of mastery of digital channels, supply chains at one point. And this mindset, the earlier we adopt it, the more successful our business is going to be long term. Thank you, Ron.
No, thank you.
Thank you guys for staying with us today. We spoke about our new book called The Innovation Factory. Yay. It is on Amazon. We will also be giving some chapters away, so stay tuned for the links below this video. Do get the whole book. Do hit us up on LinkedIn, here on YouTube or any other social media platforms if you would like to chat about how Ron or I can help your businesses to learn from China, right? On the D2C side, on the future of retail, on the e-commerce, and of course on the China leadership style.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure doing this, not only this video series with you on this, but actually, putting our thoughts together, because you've been in, obviously the China market. You're well known in this space, right? From the social media marketing and research and learning and education. I come from, the hardcore e-commerce part of this, right? Right, all the sales and stuff like that. So we're the e-commerce enabler on the China side, and now we've taken what we've learned from there and actually helping brands in the West actually adopt and replicate this for their own market. And if they can learn just 2 or 3 things, it's actually going to build their business much quicker and have that human connectivity, which most brands still don't think about. They go, I need to go to retail, I need to put my product in this channel, and they're kind of done. Let me put out a post on Instagram once in a while, right? It just doesn't work, right? So it's a new world, new consumers, and learn how to be part of that new retail journey for consumers.
Absolutely. And also learn from China's not only successes, but also China's failures.
Right.
There's been failures along the way, and you can shorten that learning curve. And of course, China also has a lot of things to learn from the rest of the world. So by learning together, by staying focused on actually getting things done, being pragmatic about it, focusing on business, we're always better together. So let's stay tuned for more awesome content to come from both myself and Ron, and we're going to chat soon. Thank you guys for being with us today.